The home of the Berwick Bulldogs. This is W234BH Berwick at 94.7, WBWX W242CY Berwick at 96.3, W282CO Bloomsburg at 104.3, W288CF Danville at 105.5, and streaming online at thisispopradio.com. Pop Radio, a Seven Mountains Media radio station. Just 1 hour before kickoff, it's time for the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio. A conversation with Berwick Bulldogs' Mike Bennett and the voice of the Dogs, Jim Doyle. Let's go! Brought to you by Bob Subs, W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center, First Columbia Bank and Trust, Flick Brothers Electric, Independence Ford, Preferred Portables, Mayo Funeral Home, Neighbor Fence Company, S.J. Kowalski, Reds Roofing, Nespoli Jewelers, ND Accounting, Mason Monogram, Eco First, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bloomsburg.
Well, after two straight home games, the Bulldogs are on the road tonight to take on the Millionaires of Williamsport here at STA Stadium. Williamsport is 1-2 after last Friday's 28-20 loss to Dallas. Dogs 0-3 after a 47-24 loss to Abington Heights at Crispin Field. We're talking to assistant coach and athletic director Bo Orlando, who will once again be the acting head coach tonight. Bo, let's start with the good news from last Friday's game, and that is the first half. I thought it was your team's best half of football this season. You went in the locker room with a 21-14 lead. What kind of things did you do well in that half?
First of all, in high school football, you got to run the football, and we ran the ball really well. Tyler Winter had a great game, and our quarterback was doing a good job of reading, the quarterback option. We always like my thing as we were talking earlier. I like to defer. I like to put our defense on there and get the ball in the second half. This way, you're up. We were up 21-14. We get the ball and driving and say if we can put a score in here. We're up 2 scores and put their backs against the wall. And, of course, we had the turnover and, things unravel and that's that.
Coaches will often say we need to win the line of scrimmage. I thought for much of the game, offensively, your offensive line won the line of scrimmage.
We did. Our offensive linemen played really well, and there's always room for improvement. there's still some young guys on there. We'll lose one guy going into next year, and they still got some growing up to do in some things. But yeah, that's obviously what you want is win the line of scrimmage. We just got as we talk, we have to progress through this season and get better. And I had them last night. Coaches we usually do a couple of 10 plays offense, 10 plays defense, and then move on to the next opponent. But I just felt it was important last night to keep them a little longer. We didn't have a JV game, got canceled, and we kept them in there and just watched what we watched. There were so many plays that one guy took the wrong gap defensively or blitzed the wrong, in the wrong hole or didn't make a tackle, didn't force the guy back inside. So I told them you're that close. Every game is what coach is watching, and it's very frustrating. We're all frustrated, but it's all about the little things. So we just got to concentrate this week on some technique.
You mentioned Tyler Winter, a career game for him, 14 carries, 143 yards. He's shifty, which he needs to be because he doesn't have size. He's got quickness. What I love also is that he finishes plays. He runs hard. He's
a wrestler. He's a really, really tough kid. I thought last year he should have played a little bit more. We could use them. He's hard to see. He's not very tall, but he's mighty and he's strong. And one thing, he hits the hole pretty quick because it doesn't, as well as I do in high school and any level, that hole opens and closes really, really quick. And he's hitting fast and he's finishing. He had a lot of yards after contact, which was great.
Well, he ended up with 281 yards rushing, which is terrific. We mentioned Tyler Winter finishing plays. I thought your quarterback, Ethan Lear, I thought Jimmy DeAndrea, both of them ran hard as well.
Absolutely. Jimmy's a tough, one of our toughest kids, and we got to get Jimmy the ball a little more. We're a little frustrated on offense of throwing some short passes, doing some things and screens and that we normally haven't done. So we have to get a little better on that of spreading it out and getting them out of 8 in the box. When they come 8 in the box on us on third, we got to be able to throw on them. So that's something that we have to work on.
Your team had 377 total yards. That's a lot for a high school game, but seems to me it should translate to more than 21 points. Why didn't it?
Yeah, the score is not indicative of how the game went, and that's why, reiterative, that's why we watched the whole game, because it was so close. And, a play here and there that we had them stopped on third down, and we just didn't finish on offense. At one point, we had a couple penalties that we lost our composure, which I'm really, really not happy, because that's not the way we're gonna, stand here in Berwick. I said, you win, you win and lose with dignity. You know what I mean? And we play hard on the field, and that's all I ask for you guys, just to bust your hump and to give it all you got on the field. And that penalties hurt us a lot. We had a couple 15-yarders that backed us. At one time we had them, I think it was third and 8 on the 50-yard line, and we got a late hit, and then one of our coaches got a penalty on the sideline, and they're at the 20-yard line, and we're not good enough to spot teams 30 yards ago or 15 yards ago and capitalize on them.
Well, up next, we'll talk defense and special teams. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Drive your new GMC home today. New vehicles have been hard to come by. So at Alexander Family Buick GMC, we've been telling you to reserve your new GMC truck or SUV. But with 25 new GMCs in stock now and 25 more to arrive soon, you don't have to reserve one. You can drive one home today. And with the highest trade values, the lowest rates, and the Blaze Alexander lowest price guaranteed, now is the time to drive one off our lot. Shop online, where we're always open. Alexander Family Buick GMC in Bloomsburg, taking the deals the other guys won't.
Proud sponsor of Penn State Athletics.
The game of the week is powered by Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. Compete like a champion with your orthopedic partners at 26 Station Circle in Hazleton.
Hi, this is Shelby Engel, Business and Marketing Manager with Rocky Auctions. When you make a purchase at a local business, 50% of those dollars stay right here in our community. Local is better.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
STA Stadium in Williamsport is the venue for tonight's game as the Bulldogs take on the Millionaires of Williamsport High School. Bulldogs coming off a 47-21 loss to Abington Heights last Friday. Dogs led, as we mentioned earlier, 21-14 at the half. Abington Heights scored 33 points in the second half, which on the surface looks like a collapse on the part of your defense, but there was only one long drive. You mentioned 15-yard penalties. There were 2 on that drive. Right. Other than that, their scores came on drives of 36, 37, and 16 yards and a 98-yard interception return. So field position was a big issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a that in any type of game or any close game. But I think we had 2 turnovers. One was a 95-yard touchdown return that they threw an interception. The other one threw an interception and a return to our side of the field. So getting back, when you play good teams like that, I've been telling them, first of all, you can't have mistakes and you can't have penalties. And we're shooting ourselves in the foot a lot of times. Like you said, we controlled the line. We did what we wanted to do most of the game. We got to tackle and we got to play a little bit better defense. We haven't really stopped anybody, but for the most part, I was pretty proud of their effort.
Was it my imagination, or were you blitzing a little more?
We at this point we're trying everything, but guys were running into one another or blitzing in the wrong hole, so that's something that we have to get up on this week, and with a brand new team and a young team, you got to find what's fit for your team, and it's different from practice and portraying that on Friday night under the lights. I tell them there's nothing more special than being successful on a Friday night under the lights wherever you are.
Dual threat quarterbacks, and you know them well because you were one yourself in high school. They're tough to defend, and Nick Bradley of Abington Heights, he was the real deal, wasn't he?
I tell you what, he was, the AD from Dallas, called me and said, man, he had a really, really good game against him throwing. And then when he came here and I took a look at him, he was pretty strapped together. I mean, he was a really nice sized kid in throwing and, and he's young. So, I was pretty impressed. He had he was probably the deciding factor, one of the deciding factors for sure.
Turning to special teams, I thought your kicker, Luke Peters, had a good game. He was 3 for 3 in point after touchdowns. Also, his kickoffs were deeper than they were in the first couple of games. But a couple of them were run back, and it wasn't a matter of missed tackles. And when that happens, is that a case of people not staying in their lanes?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It's not staying in your lanes and knowing what to do at the point of attack. Like I said, that's one of the things we're working on today. You always want to avoid the front line. And then the second line, depending on how close the ball carriers, you want to get your hands on them, get them away from your body, and you got to shut them, and you got to have the runner, stutter a little bit. And we're kind of running through people. We're running into people. We're running around people. And that's something you can't do, and it hurt us with field position. And like you said, penalties, mistakes, and field position. You have to be pretty damn good to win a game losing all three of those.
Well, later in the show, Bo will tell us about tonight's opponent, Williamsport. But up next, the Bulldog Spotlight feature. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Mason's Monogramming has the largest selection of Bulldog items in Berwick. Family owned with more than 30 years experience and new Bulldog wear for every age, including masks, tees, polos, sweater shirts, jackets, and hats. They even have brand new indestructible silicone cups, koozies, car coasters, decals, and more. Shop at masonsmonogram.com for their new items and select in-person pickup or shipping right to you. Follow their Instagram at Mason's Monogram for their latest new items. Mason's Monogram service in Berwick. Let them personalize for you.
Save today on a great selection of the best appliance brands and discover top-notch service at Flick Brothers Electric in Bloomsburg. Browse their showroom, which features appliances in a variety of different kitchen configurations and offers appliances and water heaters for every budget. Flick Brothers showcases top names like GE and GE Monogram, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, KitchenAid, Maytag, Sharp, Amana, and built in the USA Speed Queen and Viking appliances. Flick Brothers Electric, Maple Lane, Bloomsburg, for over 65 years. Call 570-784-3444.
I've got a hot tip for you if you want to refresh your home for fall and save on it all. Get to Kohl's right now. I just shopped their limited time home deals, and not only did I save an extra 15%, I also got a great deal on a Ninja blender, an entire cookware set for under $60, and so much more. Plus iron Kohl's cash. So what are you waiting for? Get your home refresh done and set for fall fun. Get to Kohl's. Select styles. Offers end September 17th. 15% off end September 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
At EasyCater, we get it. Ordering food for work means you have to deal with this.
Client meeting on Tuesday.
Client wants Taco Tuesday.
19 people.
Need vegan options.
Our budget just got slashed.
Meeting is now Monday.
What about Mediterranean?
Client still wants taco.
Claire has a nut allergy.
Gluten-free.
Under budget.
Tacos for a client meeting? Just use EasyCater. Food for work delivered on time as ordered with a huge variety. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
Weekend number 4, the 2023 high school football season kicks off tonight here at STA Stadium in Williamsport. The Bulldogs will take on the Millionaires of Williamsport High School. We'll talk about them in our next segment. But now it's time for our weekly feature, Bulldog Spotlight. Tonight, the spotlight is on senior quarterback and long snapper Ethan Lear. Running game, as we mentioned earlier, very, very effective last Friday against Abington Heights, a season-high 281 yards. And as we talked earlier, your offensive line did a great job, but I thought Ethan Lear, your quarterback, had a really good night reading the defense. I thought his decisions on whether to keep the ball or hand it to Tyler Winter were very good, weren't they?
Yeah, he was making good decisions. Ethan's a really smart kid, and we have to, as coaches, we have to get him in a little bit better passing situations and rolling him out. He's more of a rollout than a drop back guy, and asking him to read reads that they can't read. And but like running the ball, we always knew Ethan was an athlete. He's a competitor, and he's been doing really well. And we're just going to ask him to do a little bit more and kind of read the defense. And if he sees something, to maybe change it himself, at the line because when you're, it's one thing seeing it from on the sidelines, but it's another thing when you're out there and seeing, heads up.
Well, quarterback is obviously an important position, maybe the most important position in the sport. But you put a lot on his plate, don't you?
Yeah, we do. And you know, I think you do that depending on what type of kid he is. I mean, Ethan's probably a straight A student. Ethan is a very, very smart kid, very, you know, football IQ wise. And so we tend to put a little bit more on his plate than he can handle because, like you said, you know, you live and die in high school by your quarterback. Like, you can have a great running back and receiver, but if you have nobody to get it to him and check off the right checks, quarterback is a very, very valuable position.
We talked earlier about Nick Bradley of Abington Heights and the problems that a dual threat quarterback can pose. When you get that passing game going, Ethan can be that, can he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we get him out in the flat, roll him out a little bit if it's not there, and, you know, just run it. And then when you do that, when the guys are dropping back, then they're kind of biting up a little bit and it opens things up. So, you know, just like us, you know, facing a dual quarterback, you can't play some of the coverage. You can't play a two lockup because then you don't have just the linebackers chasing the quarterback. You got to keep your ends in contained. So having a dual threat quarterback is definitely a key in high school.
I see Ethan Lear on Friday nights. You see him every day. What's he like on a day-to-day basis?
He's actually a very, very kind of calm guy, you know what I mean, and very confident. You know, he's a ball breaker like the rest of them, but like I said, real good student, very good, great kid off the field, which makes, you know, our load on him a little bit more and knowing what he can handle. In addition to being the quarterback, he's the long snapper, and he's very, very good at it, isn't he? Yeah, he's worked very hard at it all through his career and being a senior, and you know, he might have a little career in long snapping because I've played with some guys that weren't that big in the NFL, but man, they can put it on a dime. You know what I mean? And that's a key when you get up to the next two levels. I mean, is the key. You know how fast those guys get the ball back and get it down. So he's working real hard, and I think he may have a future in that. Yeah, and I guess the rules now favor someone who's kind of slight at 185 is what he's listed, because you used to be able to really tee off on the long snapper. You can't do that. Yeah, now you can't touch it, which helps us, you know, a bit. And I remember when I was at Liberty High School, my son was a long snapper, and we have always had like a skill guy doing the snapping. And thank God that they've, you know, got guys off, because in the old days you just line up and key up on them, and that was the best snap. And it's nice that he's athletic, has played some in the secondary, can go down there and make tackles. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's one of our backup safeties, or we don't like to play him as least as we can, but you know, we get into trouble. He played a lot in our nickel package last year. I think he had a pick I think against Abington. Was for a touchdown, and he's a very, very smart player, but we have so many guys going one way. I'd like to keep at least him at our key spot as going one way. In the Bulldog Spotlight tonight, senior quarterback and long snapper Ethan Lear. Tonight, Ethan and his Bulldog teammates will take on the Millionaires of Williamsport. Up next, Bo will tell us about Williamsport's offense. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Jim Doyle and the Berwick Bulldogs Coach Mike Bennett Show. Brought to you by Bob Subs, W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center, First Columbia Bank and Trust, Wick Brothers Electric, Independence Ford, Preferred Portables, Mayo Funeral Home, Neighbor Fence Company, S.J. Kowalski, Reds Roofing, Nespoli Jewelers, ND Accounting, Mason Monogram, Eco First, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bloomsburg. The Coach Bennett Show, only right here on Pop Radio.
As a community bank, First Columbia Bank and Trust knows the value of helping our young people dream, excel, and reach their goals. For more than 120 years, First Columbia has been committed to helping our communities prosper and our youth succeed. We're proud to invest in our youth through athletics, the arts, and education. First Columbia Bank and Trust, with you and your children every step of the way.
Every step of the way, First Columbia Bank.
Experience a drive that makes you feel more connected than ever before at a price you can afford at W&L Mazda.
Discover the luxury Mazda vehicles without the high price tags. Whether you're looking for technology and fuel efficiency for long commutes or the extra space for weekend getaways, head to W&L Mazda today for a test drive.
The W&L Mazda team will take the time to understand your drive and will match you with a perfect Mazda to accompany you on the way to success. We're off Route 11 in Northumberland, or visit us the last week of September at the Bloomsburg Fair just off C Ave. Find us online at WNLMazda.com. redroofing.com.
Red's Roofing, the roofing ninjas of Berwick. The roofing experts for all of our listening area. With over 30 years experience and great rates, why go anywhere else when Red's Roofing will get the job done right for your roofing, decks, and siding. Specializing in metal roofs, rubber roofs, and shingles. Most of the work is done in one day. Red's Roofing, the roofing ninjas. Now located in Dushore and also serving Bradford and Sullivan counties with owner Harry Titus, a supporter of the Berwick football team and St. Jude Children's Hospital. Call 570-752-4351.
This is Scott Mertz from Century 21 Mertz & Associates. Just like Penn State football, we bring our A game. Score your dream home with us. Stream all the action. Search WBUS on iHeartRadio or the Odyssey app. We are.
Hi, this is Shelby Engel, Business and Marketing Manager with Rocky Auctions. When you make a purchase at a local business, 50% of those dollars stay right here in our community. Local is better.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
Well, tonight marks the 37th meeting between Williamsport and Berwick. Berwick leads the series 26-10, and they've won the last two. Millionaires entered tonight's game with a 1 record, trailing Dallas 28-6 last Friday. They staged a good comeback, got it to within 28-20 and had the ball, but ended up losing by that score, 28-20. Bo, this might be the most prolific passing team your team will face this season. Through 3 games, senior quarterback Caleb Williamson is completing 67% of his passes for 687 yards and 5 touchdowns. Describe him.
Athletic. I mean, what else can you say? We talk about having a dual threat. I mean, he can also run. He hasn't run as much, but he's been airing it out. And in high school, it's pretty tough to have really good secondaries to calm down the pass, because most of your thing is to stop the run in high school. You don't get a lot of quarterbacks really airing it out in our league. But he's a dual threat. He's an athlete, and it's going to be a big challenge for us.
He has an impressive group of receivers. In fact, 3 receivers with 15 or more receptions just 3 games into the season. Of the 3, the big play threat is definitely number 11, Yazir Slaughter. He's 5'11", 155, so he's not big. He's a senior. He's averaging over 18 yards reception. He had touchdowns of 46 and 61 last week against Dallas. What kind of instructions do you give your secondary dealing with Yazir Slaughter?
Well, it's like anything else. Speed kills. You know, he's an athlete, but he can run, and it's something that we're going to change things up. We're trying some different guys in some positions, and we have to secure. You go game by game, and obviously these guys are whipping the ball around, and not surprised that they won't run the ball and try to run the balls, because we haven't stopped the run. So who knows how they'll come out to. But one thing, when we play Williamsport, I mean, you're talking just athletes. I mean, I don't care on the line, skill guys. They always have athletes that can make big plays. And like you said, coming back on Dallas was up on them 2 touchdowns, and they come back and tie it up and have the ball at the end. That scares me when you have a lot of athletes.
Well, you can't ignore their running game, and the fact that your team has struggled in that end means that Williamsport will probably try it. Devin Harris and Kyer Whaley both have pretty good numbers on the season, and you mentioned that Williamson is capable, so you can't ignore the run.
Absolutely not. I mean, like I said, we have our backs against the wall, and we haven't stopped the run. So, who are them? If I were them, I would try to run the ball first before throwing the ball. But they're throwing the ball very, very well, and at their strength. So it's going to be a tough night. We have our work cut out for us, but hopefully we prepare well enough.
How would you evaluate them up front? How good is their offensive line?
Athletic. It's kind of hard. I don't think they've had some of the bigger. You're not going to be one of the bigger lines that we played. We played some big lines in the past, but we're not the biggest either. So it's kind of like measures up kind of to our size. I just hope the quickness isn't a factor, because, like I said, when I think of Williamsport, I just think of athletes. I mean, I've played being the record. I think the first game we ever played them was my junior year. I was when my first start here as a quarterback, and we beat them 3-0. I mean, that's how like we've had battles with them through and through. And to me, like I said, they've always had athletes out the yin yang.
One thing your team did very well defensively a year ago was get after the quarterback. Can you get to Williamson?
We're going to try. You're going to have to. You can't set them. You can't let them sit there, in a pocket and just throw around, because you can't cover guys for 4 or 5 seconds in high school football, let alone college or any level. So we're going to have to send one, but we just got to be careful because you got, the guy can run a little bit. He can hurt you there, and you got their backs, and they spread you out a lot. So it's going to be tough doing that, and maybe some single fires, but I don't think all-out blitzes are going to be pretty tough to do.
Well, up next, Bo will evaluate Williamsport's defense. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Hi, this is Cassidy from the Independence Ford Service Department, Route 11 in Bloomsburg. Does your Ford or Lincoln vehicle need service? Having trouble getting an appointment at your usual service center? At Independence Ford, we can and will take care of all your service needs. Regardless of where you purchase your Ford or Lincoln vehicle, our goal is to get you back on the road. Give me a call for an appointment today at 784-1414.
Come and get a great deal and total satisfaction.
Independence Ford, better people, better prices.
The Mayo Funeral Homes, located at 110 Chestnut Street in Berwick and 77 Main Street in Chickashinny, are proud sponsors of Berwick Bulldog football. The Mayo Funeral Homes, serving all faiths, makes it easier for those you love with pre-arranged funeral counseling, insurance, and pre-financed funerals. Mayo Funeral Homes also offers expert guidance in both traditional and cremation services. Mayo Funeral Homes, perfection in every detail.
The subs at Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick have so much meat in them you'll be having leftovers for days. The Italian is piled high with fresh slices of ham, capicola, salami, and pepperoni on a freshly baked bun. Bob's cheesesteak oozes with cheesy goodness woven into a mountain of thinly sliced ribeye steak. So if you're tired of bland, unsatisfying subs, Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick is your new go-to. With over 22 different kinds of sumptuous, hearty subs, you'll find just the one or two to cure your cravings. And the pizza at Bob's Subs and Pizza, oh, it's so good. Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick. Taste the difference.
Danville Head Start Pre-K is a high-quality, free preschool program for children 3 to 4 years old. We are conveniently located at the Danville Area Primary School, and classes are held Monday through Friday. A free, nutritious breakfast and lunch are provided. A family of 4 can now make up to $90,000 and still qualify for the Pre-K Counts program. We are enrolling preschool-age children for the fall right now. For more information, go to danvilleheadstart.com.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
In search of their first win of the season, the Bulldogs will take on the Millionaires of Williamsport tonight here at STA Stadium in Williamsport. Former Lycoming College assistant coach Mike Pearson is in his second season as Williamsport's head man. Bo, Mike lists his team's base defense as a 4-4. Do they stay in that?
They do that, and they come out of a little bit. It's like anybody else. Depends on what you give them. If you give them spreads, they're going to have to come out of a 4-4. They just, it's like the old theory. They'll pull the 2 end guys out on your slots, and it becomes a 4-2 or 4-3, whatever it is. But that's their base stuff, and that they like to do a little movement because they're not as big, and they like to stunt. And with speed, when they're stunning and moving around, it's very difficult to block them.
They have 2 3-year starters back that they rely on defensively. One is number 20, a defensive end, Alonzo Rice. The other is number 44, Narik Burks. He's an inside linebacker. He's had double figures in sacks in each of the last 2 seasons. How do they look to you?
Very, very tough. I mean, like I said, I look at those guys, the pinpoint guys, and try to get away from. But just overall speed on defense is just tremendous. Those guys, I don't care what you give them, they just run to the ball very, very well, and they get there very, very quickly.
And you talk about getting away from people. When you're a middle linebacker like Burks is, it's tough to do.
It is tough to do. He's a nice-sized kid, and he can run, and that's tough to get him there. Sometimes the best thing is to run right at him, because if you run side to side, that's when those guys come and hawk you down, and it's tough.
Well, since your team is struggling on defense, I guess an ideal situation would be to play defense with your offense and keep the football. Do you think you're capable of that?
That's definitely a question. I mean, if it was like last week and looking back, and everybody learns from their mistakes and learns from their games and their past, but we could have came out if we didn't fumble out of the first, when we had the ball in the second half when they kicked off to us, we could have controlled the clock, let it run down, the time, the play clock to 0 every time and kind of prolong. And like I said, we have a lot of guys that are going both ways, and we tucker out. So we have to kind of slow the game down and have our offense on the field a little more in ball control.
Bo, thanks again. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Listen for another Coach Bennett show prior to next Friday's game when the Bulldogs make their first ever trip to Wolfpack Stadium to take on Wilkes-Barre area. Stay tuned now for Berwick at Williamsport football here on Pop Radio.
You've been listening to the Coach Bennett Show. Brought to you by Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bournesburg, Lehigh Valley Health Network, Eco First, Mason Monogram, MD Accounting, Nespoli Jewelers, Reds Roofing, S.J. Kowalski, Neighbor Fence Company, Mayo Funeral Home, Bob Subs, Preferred Portables, Independence Ford, Wood Brothers Electric, First Columbia Bank and Trust, and W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center. Stay tuned for Berwick football on Pop Radio and streaming all over the world at thisispopradio.com.